All right, then, without further ado, so very thrilled to be speaking with Tanya Shively, Sesshu Design Associates, where style and luxury meet, health and well-being, the premier wellness interior design firm, SESSHUDESINE.com. Tanya, how are you doing on this magnificent Tuesday, already half of the way through the month of February, which is mind-blowing?
I am doing amazing, thank you. How are you?
Well, thank you for asking. I couldn't be better, especially since I have the opportunity to speak with you after the many years that we've been working together. Thank you for that. And again, thank you for taking the time. I know how incredibly busy you are being so amazing at what you do. And I was really enjoying revisiting before we jump into all the current incredible things you're doing, etc. Yet I loved revisiting the your inspiration imparted from being in the Grand Tetons in Wyoming and nature in an early age, etc.
Yes, thank you. Well, I am thrilled to be here.
And so, what is it that, obviously, as we were just touching upon, Tanya, with respect to you, and we can dive into this in a second, you mentioned Costa Rica, et cetera, because obviously anyone from anywhere that is looking for the amazing yet you chose Arizona as your primary locale to operate from. Why is that?
Well, in college, I just kind of on a whim almost moved down here. And at the time, I didn't even realize that Scottsdale was an amazing second home location for many people and that it would be ideal for me to pursue my interior design career.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to call it kismet or luck or what, but that's how I ended up here and I love it. The climate is amazing for 8 months out of the year.
Right.
And it's beautiful. The people here are great, and so it's. I grew up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and so the climates are obviously 180 degrees polar opposite different.
Right.
But beyond that, they're both resort towns. They're both huge vacation home areas, and we have the same kind of influence of tourists that come seasonally and all that kind of stuff. So it just sort of switched for me, but it works. And there's a lot of connectivity between Jackson and Scottsdale too. There are a lot of people who have homes in both areas.
Interesting.
Perfect.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
And do you, due to your connectivity with Jackson Hole, which is such a fantastic place, obviously one of the greatest locations in the United States, North America, and the world, as well as Scottsdale, but as it pertains to one of the greatest ski towns on the planet.
Indeed.
Do you have a number of clients up in Jackson Hole?
Not what I would like. That is definitely something that's on my radar and something that I'm pursuing. Like I said, I think there's amazing opportunities to be working with people up there, but I don't have a huge number of people there. No.
Now, speaking of it, understood, absolutely. Well, we have geographical targets on our radars at all time, and you touched upon one when we were speaking before we started the podcast. You mentioned Costa Rica was popping up a lot, and so thus going a little bit further into that, you meant that, of course, I would imagine, as it pertains to interior design.
Yeah, well, I just have several friends that have been visiting there recently, and I'm actually part of an primarily architect mastermind group, and there is a fantastic architect in that group who is based in Costa Rica, and so I've been learning more and more about what their design aesthetic is like and how they work down there, and I'm just fascinated by it. That's a whole different environment than either the mountains or the desert, and
Right.
would love to accept the challenge of doing a project there.
Well said. Very well said. You're very well spoken, by the way, Tanya.
Thanks.
And so let's now dig into you and being Sesshu Design Associates. Again, we're style and luxury meet health and well-being, the premier wellness interior design firm. That's a very unique approach, and also to be the premier wellness interior design firm. And again, we're style and luxury meet health and well-being. So let's dig into that. Like, what exactly is that? Because no one, you're really, quite frankly, I would think one of the very few that has that very unique, beautiful approach.
Yes, I think so. I don't know too many other people who even really um, are working with the wellness aspect of your interiors. But just to go into my history a little bit, yes, I grew up in Jackson Hole, and so the beauty of nature and being surrounded by the national parks and everything made my appreciation for preserving the environment a huge factor in my early life. But the second huge factor in my early life was the fact that my father had severe chronic asthma. And so the indoor air quality was a big deal in our house,
Right.
even before we really knew about indoor air quality. We took out the carpet, we had hardwood floors, those kinds of things, reducing the dust and the allergens. Um, since then, we also discovered that that home had really serious mold. And so we ultimately had to just tear it down and build a new house
Wow.
to help. Yeah, it was major. It was in the foundation, so it couldn't be remediated. What are you going to do when it's in the concrete? So
Well,
we
I've
built
actually
that
never
new
heard
house.
of mold being in the concrete. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it was poor construction. And so
Yeah.
that's a huge thing. You need to be paying attention to who's building your house and how it's constructed, and making sure that that builder is following all the appropriate protocols for waterproofing and, all of that. But anyway, so that was the second biggest factor, and probably the biggest one as far as me going into wellness design. And, so many people these days have asthma and allergies. And so for me to be able to positively impact people's lives by helping them to achieve a home that's free from toxins and has a great indoor air quality and feels good and really enhances and supports their wellness and their well-being, that's really important to me. And at the same time, I want people to know that they can have whatever style they want. They can have the comforts and conveniences that they want. We're not building earth ships. A lot of times when people hear eco-friendly or, those kinds of words, they automatically are envisioning some crazy home that's going to be very spare and have weird materials and odd construction, and that's not what we do. We're still providing a high level of luxury finishes.
Yes, you are.
um,
Yes, you are.
it's Yeah, we're still providing the same look and feel in your home, but we're doing it in a healthy way.
And it must be, I would imagine, when those that are so very fortunate to discover you, then when they begin engaging with you and going through the process of the design that you're creating for them, whether it's in Scottsdale, wherever it might be, it must be for them such a unique, refreshing way, I would imagine, to design a home, a luxury residence, whatever it might be. It must be somewhat almost mind blowing for them because, again, you're doing this in such a, well, quite frankly, a niche way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people are not aware of what we can achieve. And so I love presenting options to clients that, are interesting and unique and are matching their personal taste and aesthetic, and also providing a better design for their health as well as protecting our planet's resources. So they are blown away. Now, there's a few people that come to me and that they're aware, and that's specifically what they want, and they have some serious health issues. I've got a client right now that's got an extreme chemical sensitivity, and so finding materials that aren't going to aggravate her chemical sensitivity so that she can live better and enjoy life and hopefully heal and be able to get out and do more things than she's currently able to do is going to be a really special thing that we're hoping to be able to do for her.
Interesting. What an intricate and amazing project.
Yes, it is definitely very much intricate. It's pushing my knowledge even.
Right.
Researching new materials that I wasn't even necessarily aware of, and so it's a fun challenge.
No, that's fantastic. And I would imagine that with doing what you do, Tanya, and in again the unique, amazing way that you do it, I would imagine that you do consistently have a number of clients, again, due to, you just used such a great example where it does, which is exciting for you and for them, to push you to discover new, innovative interior design materials, methods, etc., to achieve these, very unique goals that they need to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And so along with that one, what are the great example you just used, what are some additional current projects that you're really excited about and why?
Well, another one that has been ongoing for sadly too long due to the current state of construction and permit processes and all of that, due to the huge influx of people wanting to remodel their homes and things.
Right.
I've got a project with a client who had to move out of their house because of mold. And so, of course, I was well versed in that. And the new
Yes.
home that they bought, it was an existing home. Unfortunately, we discovered that it also had mold, which is
Perfect.
A little bit surprising in Arizona. But
right.
It did. It had mold. It had quite a bit of mold. We have essentially ripped out the entire interior.
Did this come up during the purchase, during inspection, or discovered afterwards?
I think they knew that it had some mold, but they did not know the extent.
Mm-hmm.
Even we had mold and remediation people come in and test and check and look for specific places for mold. And then during the remodel process, we've since discovered more, and we've discovered more. And so we've had to tear out more, and we've had to tear out more. But we're finally, I believe, getting to the point of actually putting it back together. That's always exciting. And it's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous home when we're done.
And is this in Scottsdale?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And with respect to, so when someone is so very fortunate to have the opportunity to meet you, contact you, and begin working, developing, what they want brought to life via your genius, what is it that you, again, doing it in the unique way that you do it, where style and luxury meet health and well-being, being the premier wellness interior design firm, when you begin engaging with someone versus the way, say, they're not putting a standard interior designer down, but the way that you do it, when you're engaging with someone, what is it that how do you go about it in the way that you do, which again, I imagine is different than obviously the way that the standard interior designer might?
Well, the first step in our process, once we've decided to work together, is a very in-depth questionnaire that goes into all aspects of their lifestyle. And it goes a little bit further than I think most designers would do, if they even do that in-depth questionnaire. We're going beyond what is your style, what are your colors, what colors don't you like, although those are parts of the things that we explore. But we're also talking with them about what are your priorities. Is it health? Is it environmental responsibility, sustainability? Is it energy, electric conservation, those kinds of things? So we're asking, what are your priorities? And then if you have some health challenges, what are those? Do you have allergies to what kinds of things? So we're getting deep into health and wellness questions. What are their hobbies? How do they live? What kinds of spaces do we want to include? Do we want meditation, yoga spaces? Do we want exercise rooms? If so, what kind of exercise?
Right.
Do we want, saunas and steam rooms and those kinds of wellness, convenience, comfort, luxury factors? So we're going really in depth in all of the aspects of what they want to see, what they envision for living in their perfect dream home.
What an incredibly intelligent and beautiful way to go about doing what you're doing and bringing a home, a beautiful home, obviously, to being what it can be in all aspects, outside of just, as you touched upon, just the right color palettes or the right furniture, but then really making a home wherever it might be, from Scottsdale to the Hamptons to Costa Rica, but making it so perfect, really.
Yeah, exactly. And we're working closely with the architect and with the builder. We like to have an initial meeting with the entire design construction team so that we're all on the same page. And we'll provide input with the architect too, based on our findings and our conversations with the clients about, size and layout and types of room spaces. So we just want to be involved in all of those conversations so that we can have that full, complete picture. That's one of the things that, as an interior designer versus a decorator, we're talking about space and function and flow and really your whole home, not just how it looks. And we're also seeing it through from the very beginning all the way through complete furnishings and window coverings and pillows and art and accessories down to your dishes and your linens. And no one else in the project has that full, complete vision. The architect, he envisions the space of the home, and the builder can envision, how he's going to put that together in a well-crafted manner and achieve the vision that the architect and the designer have created.
Right.
But myself as the designer, we're seeing it all the way from beginning to end.
And you, again, so very well said. And it made me think that in a way, not in a way, what you're doing is you're creating a masterpiece for those that, again, are so very fortunate to work with you, a masterpiece, their home, that lives and breathes the way it should, so that it's perfect for the way that they live and breathe within it, quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly. And we're also acting as the liaison between the architect and the builder and the client, the homeowner, because a lot of times, even if homeowners have built a custom home before, understanding the process and some of the language and things can sometimes be challenging, and I can help to interpret that for them so that they're not feeling lost and maybe a little bit shy or embarrassed to admit that they don't understand what was said to them.
Right, absolutely.
And they get confused and they get overwhelmed in the process. And so that's part of what I'm here to help them through.
That's exceptional, quite exceptional. And what is, so we touched upon a few current projects. What is the most exciting project you've done and why?
Well, one really fun project was in Bachelor Gulch, outside of Vail.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I loved that is just because of the ski town vibe and the mountain design aspect to it. And that's just so close to home and to my heart. I still love the mountains. I love to ski, and being able to create a beautiful ski in, ski out home for the clients was a fun experience.
Yes, it is. That's the ski lifestyle, isn't it? And I that's so I love that you are an avid skier. I'm a snowboarder. Don't hold that against me, but
I won't.
I've loved living it. From Aspen to Telluride to Sun Valley, you name it. It's to that. I would imagine, though, again, not slighting any design, whether it's in Scottsdale or wherever it might be, but I would imagine those ski in, ski out, just designing what you do. I mean, and further with respect to, because living in the ski towns the right way with respect to what you're doing, Tanya, is, I mean, living in those amazing ski towns, again, including Park City on the list, Vail, etc., they are really at their core, they are the epitome of living that really, or attempting to live that balance of the healthiest lifestyle that one can with respect to nature and also luxury and affluence, etc. And so it must be really exciting and very inspiring for you to do that, especially with having the connectivity to not only skiing but further with respect to growing up in Jackson Hole.
Yeah, absolutely. It is fun. And I find that most of my clients live a very active lifestyle, whether, their home is in a ski area and they love to ski, or here in Scottsdale, virtually all of my clients golf passionately, avid.
Right. You do have quite a bit of golfing there in Scottsdale and Arizona.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a bit. And I have to ask, simply because you touched upon it and you mentioned how how in Scottsdale it's fantastic climate most of the year. Do you escape to Jackson Hole or any of the ski areas during certain times of the year, or are you consistently in Scottsdale? Are you constantly traveling with respect to the projects? What is it like in the day in the life of Tanya Shively of Sesshu Design Associates?
Yes, I travel as much as I possibly can. I love traveling for work. During the summer, I do try to get out of town as much as I can, although this is my full-time residence at this point, but I do definitely get up to Jackson and visit family, especially in July. July is the month for people to leave Arizona.
Right, otherwise you're just inside in air conditioning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And Jackson and the other ski towns I touched upon, uh, during the summer, they're just as fantastic. Even whether you're an avid skier, snowboarder or not, they're just as, if not even more fantastic during the summer.
Absolutely. I mean, the hiking is amazing in
Yep.
pretty much all the ski towns. Jackson is, of course, in proximity to Grand Teton National Park and Yellowstone National Park. And so those are great places to just get outside and appreciate and enjoy nature and hike and camp. And so, yeah, they're beautiful. And their weather there in the summer can be somewhat unpredictable, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, is beautiful.
Well, especially with depending on which of those majestic ski towns you're in, depending on the height of the local surrounding terrain and whatnot, such as the Tetons, or if you're in Telluride due to the elevation, the weather can be unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I would also imagine with respect to your amazing focus on being the premier wellness interior design firm, is with each geography. So obviously you love Scottsdale. You touched upon the project that you loved in Bachelor Gulch, just outside of Vail. Tanya, do you use the environment you're in, especially as it pertains to the way you go about it with respect to wellness interior design? Do you use the environment you're in to inspire you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we take our cues from what the environment is. We're using local materials as much as we possibly can. Construction methods vary quite widely. You know, if you're in the mountains with heavy snow loads, then the architecture and the construction has to address that versus here in Arizona where the sun is our primary challenge and you need to have the deep overhangs and provide the shade and the cooling. So it's always fun and interesting, and I enjoy working with the local architects and builders and learning more about what their particular construction methods and challenges are. And like I said,
Right.
taking our aesthetic and design cues from the local environment. For instance, that home in Vale, outside of Vale, they had a home theater, and the client was open to us doing some fun things because it was their vacation ski home, and the
Mm-hmm.
home theater created a sense of being outside in an aspen grove. We actually used,
Wow.
they were birch, but birch and aspen look virtually identical. And so we used those to create the columns, and then they even included some branches. And so it's a really fun,
Wow,
unique
that's fantastic.
kind of space. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful. We should do a feature on that. That sounds. I mean, if those that you did it for would be open to it, we should do a feature on that. That sounds like an amazing project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then
Absolutely.
let's do that in the upcoming spring issues.
Okay.
Well, thank you. All right. And on that note, because again, you are so incredibly busy, Tanya, Shively, Sesshu Design Associates, I'm really so thankful to have had the approximate 30 minutes we've had now. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have? Is there anything we didn't touch upon that you would like to?
Well, I just wanted to share kind of our trademarked design philosophy and our approach to how we achieve our healthy designs. We call it the well designed approach. And what that means is that we're addressing the wellness and well being of your home. We are also incorporating eco conscious aspects, and we all times want it to be livable and luxurious. That's the well, the WELL of well designed. So that's just what we're always keeping in mind whenever we're researching materials or products or finishes or any of the approach to our design. That's what we keep in mind, and that's how we present it to our clients and help them to wade through all the dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of decisions that have to be made when you're building and designing a custom home. We're looking at it from those aspects first.
You are in my humble opinion, you are a genius, and those that again are so fortunate to have worked with you, are currently working with you, and those that the many that will begin working with you soon and in the future will. I can imagine that every client you have is so very humble and grateful for been so fortunate to begin working with you.
Well, thank you. You're too kind. I really appreciate it.
Well, I, again, Tanya Shively, Sesshu Design Associates, SesshuDesigne.com. I sincerely appreciate your time, and thank you very much for us finally having the opportunity to speak after for working together for many years, and I really am excited about being able to do this feature on the Bachelor Gulch project that you did.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, Tanya, have a great rest of your day wherever you're off to next, whether it's in Scottsdale or on a jet, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Sounds good. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.